Soulknight is a difficult game to master. With 32 playable characters, excluding these pieces of crap, the game has its fair share of secrets and mechanics that, when mastered, can give you an edge and help you complete your runs much more efficiently. I've been playing this game longer than 75% of the cast have been in it, so over the years I picked up some tips that can help you with each character. I'll be giving tips on skill usage, weapons, recommended buffs, and even some skins and strategies that can change how you approach each character and help you unlock their full potential. I should also mention that some of these tips I got from my boy Zed, so props to him for picking up tips on characters I do not play. This video took a while to make, so if you want more of this type of content plus my usual reviews and video essays, let me know in the comments down below. So let's not waste any time and get into the tips. Before we start, a general tip for every character is to always carry a melee weapon as your secondary. It helps you clear bullets that would otherwise make playing the game impossible for non-iframes characters, and if you run out of energy, you'd have a way to deal damage and get some energy without having to get into breath-smelling distance from enemies. Also, if you only care about finishing the game efficiently and not the challenge of the game, I highly recommend using the Inherited Bug, as its passive is quite overpowered and useful for just about every situation. To get it, all you have to do is spam changing characters until the artboard is changed to the chill room logo. Once that happens, swap to the Priestess with the healing pact, enter the room, and heal every one of the developers you'll see in there. And congratulations, you got a bug that helps you pass levels with ease and gives you one nasty reputation in a specific place. Anyways, the bug slows down projectiles coming around you, much like the Necromancer's passive, so this is basically just a free buff that you have. And hey, it's a single player game, who's gonna judge me? Trust me, nobody will. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the specific character tips. Starting off with the Airbender, many don't realize this, but the deadly laser combo doesn't have to be done all at once before using the skill. There are 3 requirements to turn your skill into the deadly laser: 2 punches and tapping the skill, 3 punches, and 3 other punches. You can fire your other weapon in the middle of these sections and still have your deadly laser combo on the ready. This also means that you can store a safe deadly laser in your pocket and use it on the second wave, so you can have some protection after the first wave, most likely to cut your armor. Additionally, pulsating blow is one of the few dashes that send you in the direction you're moving, not at the enemies, so you can use this to your advantage to push yourself into cover as you prepare the deadly laser, or to make a quick getaway if you get too deep into trouble. The Alchemist's third skill, Concoction, can be left on the ground for co-op teammates. Depending on the ingredients, this can be an insane support tool that shouldn't be ignored. Also, remember that you can kite enemies by moving sideways to make them stay in your poison pools for longer. As for the Arcane Knight, my tip is just not bothering with him. Unless you're willing to pay for his second skill, because good grief, everything else about him is terrible. Although if you want some actual tips, this is common knowledge by now, but just in case you don't know, you can instantly refresh the cooldown of the skill by charging the moment his hand glows. Right around when his orb shines. This lets you reuse the ability with no cooldown, giving him some nice DPS. This is only doable with chargeable weapons and not just the skill on its own, and the timing varies based on the weapon's charge time. Do note though that doing this cuts down the burst to almost half, which could increase the time to kill depending on the monster you're fighting. See what I mean? The character is so ass, even its special gimmick shoots itself in the foot all the damn time. And finally, just a reminder that you can use all 3 variants of the skill at the same time through using the purple lightsaber. Because apparently the Arcane Knight is just Mace Windu's hand after it was cut off and evolved sentience and the shitty passive. Which naturally leads to 2 conclusions. A, this motherfucker has the Force and he's just ain't telling us. And B, is the only Soulknight character that can say the N-word.
Look, there's a bird, dude. It knows what's good. I'm telling you, I just heard it inside.
What up, nigga?
For the assassin, super basic tip here, you can charge the Bloodblade before you use your skill and let go and spam the attack button to get a forward slash attack, dealing up to 72 damage all attacks crit. That's more damage than all champion variants for every floor 1 enemy, so this is a nice burst for early game. My tip for the Astromancer is to stop trying to save the empowered version of your skill for when you quote need it. Your skill as the Astromancer is your lifeline. The empowered version isn't any stronger than the iframes that skill gives you, and even if you do save it, it's incredibly hard to time it exactly when a good burst of damage comes to reflect it, because it triggers once the skill is done, not once you press it. And remember that the skill gets longer based on how many stars you have, so it's very hard to actually time it right. Simply keep using your skill the way you'd always do, and don't let this meter fool you into playing without it for too long, which may lead to your death anyways, ending your run before you even get to use it. As the Bard, try your hardest to find 1 energy cost weapons like the Gas Blaster, the Sweet Talk, or the Blue Gatling Gun. These weapons, alongside your level 3 skill, can be fired infinitely and deal extremely massive damage. You don't even need level 4 to do it, so you don't need to max out the character. Additionally, if you have trouble timing your skill, you can mute the game music so you can keep up with the timing. If you so happen to have a steak that you need to sear but your cooker isn't working, grab your phone, launch some good old Soulknight, pick the Berserker with his second skill, equip the M3 shotgun, get the shotgun buff, reach ward 5, and then use your skill and shoot once, and enjoy your well done close to burning food. Results may vary depending on how old your phone actually is. As for an actual tip though, the Berserker is as simple as it gets, so remember that the combo buff gives you a 3rd charge to end your 3rd skill, so fish for it, I guess. For the custom prints, if you get hit a bunch near a boss or a champion enemy, you have the option to disable your skill. This not only puts your skill on a lower cooldown because its cooldown scales with how much health it had left, but it also makes all the spawned slimes explode at once, dealing a huge burst of damage as if you needed any more. Also, please, God, stop abbreviating custom pins. Like, seriously, please, just stop it. What are you all doing with the time you're saving, huh? Even though they don't look like it at all, both Eligos and Ammon are considered followers and pets to the Demonmancer. This means that the pet buff actually enhances them. So Eligos gets bonus damage on all his attacks, and Ammon will increase his shield duration by 1 second regardless of how many souls were sacrificed. The Wolves' attack on the Druid are actually melee attacks, meaning if you get the deflection buff, the Wolves will also be able to deflect attacks back at enemies, making them even more useful when used defensively. There are many characters that benefit from the laser buff, but in my opinion, the elf is the biggest winner here. Her first skill gets an increase in magic arrow size. This means that you could potentially get all 3 kills needed for a new magic arrow with 1 shot with the increased area. The second skill also gets a massive increase in all in its area as well, making it cover almost the entire room. If you're an elf main, I suggest keeping a radar flower in your garden. The Engineer is the only character in the game that can repair mounts you take through the floor back to full health, regardless of its current HP. Friendly reminder that his second skill will give you whatever mount you have parked in the facility. For the fighter, quick and simple, remember that the first version of her skill, the Crit Empowerment, lasts the same duration as the cooldown, so there is really no reason not to activate it as you attack. It's a minor buff, but it's essentially wasting damage to ignore it. As the gunner, you can swap weapons to reset the spin attack from your start weapon. Since the spin attack erases bullets and fires a bonus shot, you can greatly increase your DPS and protection if you have quick enough fingers or you're preying on an emulator like your Stroll. As for the Knight, I recommend not upgrading him past 6 stars if you're still starting out. Even though the new pistol isn't a bad weapon, it's hilariously outclassed by almost every common weapon in the game. Since all his skills cost gems, I recommend just upgrading him to get the passive, which is actually insane, then focus on getting his third skill and proceed to buy the second. Another tip to try and fish for the multi-hit weapons like the laser therapy when using his third skill. This allows you to apply the elemental effects to all enemies simultaneously. As the Lancer, when you're using the second skill, try to keep a few lances on the side and don't pick them up until the next wave spawns. That way, when the monsters do spawn, you can pick them up quickly and destroy all of them and extend your Thunder Lance. As it stands, the second skill is the only way for the Lancer to fully stack his passive without cooldown reduction, so do not sleep on it. Even though many people call it underwhelming, it can be extremely strong for buffing up your damage if you play around its restrictions. Super niche tip for the miner, if you have the magic staff or any weapon that creates orbiting damage zones, these actually stay on you as you're tunneling around, giving you some free damage while you are invulnerable, because the monsters won't be avoiding you.
This is fine.
Since you don't need to go to use next level portraits on the origin mode, the Necromancer keeps bosses she resurrects between fights, and she can even continuously resurrect them. She actually has a ton of interesting interactions in this mode. Check out this video from the GOAT himself, Tiger Soul, explaining all of him. For the officer, you can basically use his Devotee of Peace as primary weapon after the rework if you have a throwable weapon in the main handgun slot. As soon as you fire all your Devotee bullets, the throwable weapon automatically goes off. With certain throwables, you can deal a decent chunk of damage while still farming for Devotee kills effectively. Shout out to Worthy Legends 4314 for the tip. You really want tips for the Paladin? Step 1, buy him. Step 2, win the game. Step 3, don't play him. Step 4, get his OP as fuck shield from his NPC and win the game. It's that easy. If you want an actual gameplay tip though, is that his second skill gets a massive swing speed increase from the meta buff, even though it doesn't say so for some reason. For the Physicist, the old tip of not confining yourself inside your skill is still the best, as I see this mistake happening all the time. You can move around your skill and kite enemies instead of staying inside and hoping they will die before they get in. Which, I mean fair, they probably will, the damage is nuts. But still, you have the option to play outside of it and use it like a shield and damage and from mid-range, especially against bosses. For the Priestess, many wait until they lose as much health as they can before using their skill. But remember that the skill also grants you an armor buff that grants an armor point and hastens the recharge of the next one. So you can use this early to recharge your armor before you dip into health points. Remember that you have very little health as a Priestess. You might suddenly take a huge burst of damage out of nowhere you don't expect. Although after the rework, you can try to time it so that you can resurrect yourself, but it's so risky, I would just recommend using it early, especially since now it gives you bonus armor. Since the first skill of the robot can potentially last forever and it's incredibly distracting, I recommend using the Crime Buster skin of the robot. It's distinct enough so you wouldn't mistake it for an enemy laser, and it's thin enough to not be as distracting. If you don't own the skin or the 10 tokens for it, then the Bimbor Ba skin is a good alternative. Just whatever you do, do not use his Police 9102 skin.
Then brightens a dark room like light from a window. Time to open the window. Oh no! Why is this happening?
Most people buy the Rogue as their second character since he is the cheapest. My tip here is to absolutely not do that. Never touch this guy before you have enough to fully max him out, or at least to 5 stars. Having a 2.5 second cooldown on a half-second iframes ability is devastating. It's the main reason why so many new players just dismiss the rogue, despite him being one of the best characters in the game. You need the skill upgrade, it's not even funny. If you just want to play something different and you're just starting out, I'd recommend the assassin, since he fills the niche of the iframes character much better without having to upgrade him fully. The Swordmaster skill upgrade grants her bonus sword intent and move speed for killing 3 enemies, but this also counts crates for some reason, including ones that put down with the box weapon, so look for these type of rooms and give him the good old slashing. Honestly, the only tip I have for the Taoist is just buying him. He's not overpowered or anything, but he is fun enough and pretty unique. However, the NPC is what makes him special. For the low price of any gold you find in your couch, you can get a 1-floor long mount that gives you a nice movement speed and lets you move through walls. Giving any character the ability to pass through walls is insane. You can basically hop the fence in and out of dodging enemies or attacks, or just chill in the middle of the wall and let your armor recharge while the monsters just straight up can't hit you. An actual gameplay tip though is to quickly go back and forth on your target with your third skill, which deals a nice burst of damage on a single target. For the Trapmaster, I actually recommend not upgrading him to 5 stars, as his skill upgrades are just hilariously underwhelming. His first skill just gets more bombs, his third skill just gets a slow ass pigeon that, while yes deals nice damage, is just way too slow for the skill's purpose. And the second skill doesn't even improve the best feature, the iframes, it just adds one more lasso. Yep, just one more lasso. Now, his passive is decent and synergizes well with his second skill, so you will need to upgrade him at some point, but unless you plan to max him out, he is not a gem priority in my opinion. My tip for the Trickster is the exact opposite of the Astromancer. You need to hold on to the Empowered skill because this thing can give bosses a goddamn gynophobia. Also, friendly reminder to use her skill every 2.5 seconds to make sure that the phantoms attack with you. Spamming the skill won't make them do it. Also, remember that the phantoms' damage and health increase with each level just like the elves for skill, so even though it doesn't look like it, these guys have some decent scaling. Most people still don't understand the value in the Vampire's Crimson Wine starter weapon, so let's settle this once and for all and explain fully what his weapon's utility is. Even though it slows you down if you hold down the button, which you can avoid by just tapping it instead, a bat spawns in every successful critical hit, and it restores energy every other time it spawns. This will also periodically give you health if you're missing it. Using the secondary fire consumes the weapon but heals you 1 health point if you're missing health, or increases your maximum health by 1 if you're full HP. I recommend using this weapon for World 1 in order to conserve your extremely low energy and get through the rough early game without upgrades, then using your skill to heal up before consuming the weapon for extra max on health. For the Warliege, a little surprising fact here, taking damage at the mount actually fills up your passive meter, since taking damage in general fills up your passive. Since full passive Warliege is like the best character in the game in my opinion, you can use a high health mount in the start of the fight to get some passive stacks before coming off of it and get a nice head start. Also a friendly reminder that your starter weapon actually increases your movement speed. Quick and easy for the Werewolf, try and leave 1 enemy alive when using his third skill so you can use them to extend your skill stacks to either help with the next wave or keep them up until you head to the next room. Especially now that they shortened the distance between rooms, this can help you immensely. It also goes without saying that you should use it on high HP targets like champion enemies or enemies with vulnerability flames. Just kidding, I only use it on this annoying fuck. As for the wizard, the last character, your skill has a small delay where the wizard does this staff animation. My tip here is to time it so the skill goes off the moment you enter the room, get out of cover, or when the start menu ends in multiplayer. Doing so ensures the stun immediately connects and you're never left vulnerable during the animation. Thanks for watching. This was an extremely fun video to make, so if you like it, let me know by liking the video and tell me if you want to see more like this. The next video will most likely be either a character essay or a character review, but I'm open to make more guides like this if you like this one. Subscribe to my channel to help me reach my next milestone, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.